So I'm officially back home from my trip in the Dominican Republic. My trip was approximately 12 days. So when you round it up, about 2 weeks, and I'm officially back home now. And I wanted to put together this video to give some of the reasonings behind why I chose the Dominican Republic to be the first stamp on my passport, and give some of my thoughts on my impressions of the country, at least thus far, and give you guys my reasonings behind why I chose this country to be my first foreign travel destination. So I'm gonna lay it out for you guys. Now, one of the great reasons why I felt like the Dominican Republic was a good first trip for me was the combination of the fact that the Dominican Republic is already the hottest tourist spot in the Caribbean. Out of all the Caribbean islands, it's like the hottest spot that people travel to consistently every year. Places like Jamaica, Puerto Rico, etc., they be popping too, but I think the Dominican Republic, from the information that I researched, is more popping than any other Caribbean island. Not only that, but it's a short flight. I'm in Louisiana, so from Louisiana to the Dominican Republic it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to get there at all. If I take my flight in the morning, I'm gonna land in the DR that same exact morning. Is what I'm saying. It won't even be afternoon yet. I'm making it there the same morning. If I leave at 6 in the morning, I'm gonna make it by at least 11 to 12 in the morning, right before the afternoon begins. So by the time I make it, I still got almost the whole entire day to get settled in and enjoy the rest of my day in the DR. So it's a quick flight. It's not that far away from home. Not only is it not far away from home where I'm at, but there's so many different aspects of the country that remind me of home. So it almost feels like, in certain ways, obviously it's different. You know you're not home, but there's so many aspects that are similar to home that I almost damn near feel like I'm still home, like I almost never left. It almost feels like I'm in the same place that I always knew of. I'm just in a different region of where I'm from. That's kind of what it feels like sometimes. Like going from Lafayette to Baton Rouge, or Baton Rouge to New Orleans. It's like, you know you're in Louisiana, but it's just the aspects of Louisiana are expressed differently depending on where you are. You know what I'm saying? And when you go to the Dominican Republic, there's so many different aspects that are so similar to Louisiana that it almost feels like I'm still home. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. I'm going to point some of those things out and continue giving my reasons on why I chose the Dominican Republic, specifically Santo Domingo, Zona Colonial, to be the very first destination that I decided to travel to overseas. Zona Colonial in particular, I figured it originally that wasn't my plan, but it just ended out being like that, and I'm glad that it ended out being like that, because now that I realized it was like that was one of the best, if not the best, destination for me, at least to get my toes wet with foreign travel. Simply because I'm a history nerd, for one. I like history. I love history, social studies. I'm into that type of stuff. So Santo Domingo, Zona Colonial, is actually the very first European established city of the Americas. So it's considered the first American city, technically speaking, because it is a part of America, technically speaking. The Caribbean, Central America, South America, North America, it's all America. And I'm saying it might not be the United States of America, but it is America. So I was in the very first city of the Americas, the very first American city, right? Christopher Columbus, as a matter of fact, the man who it's taught in or it's not taught anymore, but it actually kind of still is taught in public schools, that Christopher Columbus discovered America, which technically speaking, he's not even the very first European to discover America. Originally, it was thought, the historians thought and believed that he was the very first European man, along with his crew, were to be the first group of Europeans to discover the Americas. But technically speaking, the Vikings are the first Europeans to discover the Americas. They're not the first humans to discover the Americas. Other humans discovered the Americas prior to Europeans. But as far as Europeans go, the Vikings actually sailed to the Americas first, and then Christopher Columbus and his crew and the Spaniards, etc., etc. They were the second wave of Europeans to discover the Americas, or so it's documented. As far as what history knows. This is what we know as of thus far. This is what is documented and known to man. So the Americas begins or what we know as the Americas today begins in Santo Domingo, Zona Colonial. So I was in the very first city of the Americas, before New York City, before New Orleans, before Miami, before Atlanta, before Boston, before any city in the United States of America was established and created. It all starts with Zona Colonial, Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. So that's pretty cool, you know what I'm saying? That's cool to know, you know what I'm saying? It's unique, it's cool, to me at least. I know everybody got different hobbies and different likes and passions, and different people are into different stuff, but I like history. So I want to see historic places, you know what I'm saying? That's what I want to be around. I'm very intrigued by those types of things. So that was very interesting to me. I did get to see a lot of historic things. And when you walk through Zona Colonial, you can tell it's very, very historic. But you can tell by the architecture. And a lot of the architecture in Zona Colonial is actually very similar to the architecture in New Orleans, Louisiana. And me being not from New Orleans, but being from Louisiana, even in other parts of Louisiana, we have architecture that's very similar to the architecture in New Orleans and Zona Colonial. So I'm still familiar with this specific architecture, being from Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? I'm familiar with it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, this looked just like New Orleans. And it looks so identical. And there was a few different other aspects of the culture in Zona Colonial that I witnessed that reminded me a lot of Louisiana. And let's go over it. So now I just wanted to highlight some of the different aspects of the Dominican Republic that reminds me of Louisiana. And the Dominican Republic reminds me of Louisiana in a multitude of different ways. Just one aspect that I actually was able to see and document firsthand in Zona Colonial was the architecture. A lot of the architecture looks very similar to New Orleans. I think most people in New Orleans, if I were to show them this photo, and if I were to show majority of people from Louisiana this photo, and I asked them, do you know where this building is located? Most of them would say, oh yeah, this is in New Orleans. And let me prove my point. So I sent this photo to my cousin, and I asked him. You can see, I sent it to him on Facebook Messenger. I said, "What city do you think this building is at, cuz?" And let's go ahead and let's look at his response. He responds and says, New Orleans. I said, I already knew you was about to say that. That's Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. Zona Colonial, to be exact. So as you can see, my point proven. My cousin's from Louisiana. We all from Louisiana. All my family, well, at least my mother's side of the family, not my father, but my mother's side of the family, we all from Louisiana. We know Louisiana when we see it. And we are technically kind of looking at Louisiana, but we're not. And what I mean by that is the architecture in Zona Colonial is so similar to New Orleans because there's a cultural, not just similarity, but there's a cultural connection. There's a cultural connection there. There's an historic cultural connection between the island of the Dominican Republic, and not just the island of the Dominican Republic, because the Dominican Republic is not an island, it's a country, but it sits on an island, and there's another name for the actual island that the Dominican Republic is located in, because it shares an island with another country called Haiti. And Haiti also has a historic and cultural connection to Louisiana, and the island that both of those countries sit on both have a cultural connection to Louisiana. The next aspect we got to talk about, which is another major benefit to traveling to the Dominican Republic and possibly living there, maybe living there part-time or traveling there frequently from time to time, occasionally, whatever it is you want to do, is lifestyle, cost of living. We got to talk about lifestyle. We got to talk about cost of living. We got to talk about services, et cetera, et cetera. We could talk about haircuts, grooming, like spas, getting your hair braided, going to the barber, shopping, food, cost of living, you know what I'm saying? We got to talk about those things, amenities, you know what I'm saying? And, how much you're looking to pay for those types of things. And if you want to get your hair braided, or if you want to go get way cheaper than the United States of America. And that's really all you need to know. But we can go into detail on some of the things that I got while I was out there, and some of the things I witnessed and saw that really motivated me to really hurry up and go back out there as soon as I possibly can. Now, the braids that you just saw me with, we're going to talk about the cost of what that costed me. For example, in the States, if I wanted those same braids, I'm spending about $100 if I were to go to a salon. Like if I were to go to a salon and go see a actual professional who has her own business, et cetera, spending at least $100 minimum. Okay? That's what it is. Now, in the DR, what I spent on those braids was not just, I didn't spend money on just those braids. I got a combo for the same price. I got a combo deal for the same price that I'm spending on just the braids back here in the States. So back here in the States, I'm spending about $100 when you round it all up. In the DR, I could get my hair braided. I could get a fade, a lineup. I could get a massage from one girl. I could get a pedicure from another girl, a manicure from another one, right? And I could get a facial, and I could get all of that in a combo deal for about the same price as just getting my braids here in the States, about $100. So with that same $100 that you're spending here in the States, and you're only just getting your hair braided, in the DR, with that same $100, you could get your hair braided, you can get a facial, you can get a massage, you can get a pedicure and a manicure, all in one combo deal simultaneously. Just to give y'all an idea of how y'all could be living in the DR. It's just a little, that's how you could be living out there. You might even be able to get away with spending less than $100 on all of that. If you drink alcohol, I'm not a big drinker, but I did buy me one of these little Presidente beers while I was out there. I'm not a drinker, but I do sip on a little something every now and then on an occasion when I want to feel good. Just an occasional type of thing. It's not something I really do. I'm not a drinker. But if you are a drinker, for this Presidente beer, I spent about the equivalent of maybe $1.50, maybe $2. I'm saying no more than $2 is what I spent on this beer. So depends on which store you go to buy your beer. You can get it for cheaper than that, or you could be sometimes spending around the same amount as here in the States. It just depends. You can get it for cheaper. You can get it for, but not too bad. Whatever. Food. I bought this omelet. Now, one dude, he came into my comment section recently when I uploaded this, and he said I got screwed over and I got scammed because I spent $8 on this. But what that person is not understanding is that, yes, I understand you can get food similar to this for way cheaper in the DR. Yes, you can. But those are more local type of spots, not tourist, outside of the tourist areas. Those are spots where you need to learn how to speak Spanish, or you need to know how to communicate better. And you need to know where to go. Like, I'm in a tourist area. Okay, this is my first time going to the DR. So your first time going to the DR, I'm in a tourist area. I'm still spending way less than what you would normally spend on this same breakfast plate here in the States. In the States, you're spending about a good 25, 30, 35 bucks on this plate at a nice quality high-end restaurant. But at a nice quality high-end restaurant in the Dominican Republic, for this same meal that you're spending 40 bucks on in the States, I spent about 8 bucks, which is still a major discount compared to what you're spending in the States. So even though I understand I could get food for even cheaper than that, yes, you can. But if you're in a tourist area and you're at some high-end tourist restaurant, you're still not spending that much money at all. You're spending very little amount. You're saving a ton of money compared to what you're spending in the States. So either way, I'm still winning. You're still winning. And then we got to talk about another category we got to talk about the mental aspect. And I'm talking about how traveling to the Dominican Republic and just traveling in general. I'm just specifically talking about the Dominican Republic because that's where I chose to go. So that's what we're focused on. But it's travel in general. But we're going to talk about the mental aspects, like the mental benefits behind visiting the Dominican Republic and some of the benefits I personally got from this. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people can relate to some of these mental health benefits. The mental health benefits are motivation is a big one. Motivation is a huge one. I'm talking when you actually go out there and you see how you could actually be living compared to how you're living here in the States for the average person, unless you're a millionaire. But even if you're a millionaire, you go to the DR and you actually see how you could be living vastly in a lot of aspects better. Maybe not all aspects, but a lot of aspects you could be living better in the DR compared to the States. And when you finally see that type of stuff, it's a huge motivation factor. It's going to put a battery on your back. It's going to put a major battery on your back. And you're not going to want to go back, man. You're just going to want to just grind until you can, like, go wherever you want to go. Do whatever you want to do. Live wherever you want to live. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's a huge motivation. It's a huge motivation for me and for a lot of other people. It just really, really motivated me, man. It really, really did. It was a huge motivator. Not only is it motivation, but it's therapy. It's therapy. It's education. You're learning new stuff on top of that. It's the greatest teacher. It's the greatest therapy. The greatest therapy session you could ever have is travel, in my personal opinion. That's just my opinion, though. Now, we're just going to be honest. We're going to be blunt, honest, straightforward, to the point. I'm not one of these passport bros that's going to sugarcoat anything or try to put these women on a pedestal or any of that. We're not doing that over here. The simple truth is this. If you're a tourist going to the Dominican Republic and you're looking to date girls, you're looking to chill with some girls. If you are a tourist, especially American, they're looking at you like a walking, talking, free living ATM machine, mobile. Okay, that's what they're looking at you as. An actual living, breathing, talking, mobile, conscious, free ATM machine. Okay, I'm going to just keep it all the way a buck. I'm going to keep it all the way 1,000%. Okay? Now, what you do with that is up to you. Okay, I went my own path for the 2-week trip that I had because I was already on a budget. But even if I wasn't on a budget, I might have did things differently. I might have chilled with more girls. I might have paid that small little fee that a lot of them is looking for, okay? And I wouldn't have even cared, because at this point, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything either. I'm a 30-year-old bachelor. I'm not in a relationship. To me, dating already looks hard. It looks frustrating. It looks aggravating. And it looks like a waste of time, in my personal opinion, at this point. I don't feel like overthinking anything. I don't feel like being frustrated. I don't feel like stressing myself out. I'm gonna just be real. And now I think I'm kind of starting to see the reasonings why certain passport bros might do what they do. Not all of them. Some of them is like, you dudes is just y'all is sick. You're going on a sex tour, okay? So I'm not talking about going on a sex tour. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? That's not how we moving. We just talking about dating in general. Some of these women, they're not just gonna... It's real similar to the States, man. I'm just going to be real, man. Like, the dating scene in the Dominican Republic is awfully similar to the States. The only difference is that you're a foreigner coming into a country that's, let's just be real, it's a developing country. Now, I'm getting tired of people calling it third world. I even heard a dude on the plane say that. This dude is a dude who supposedly owns businesses and flies to the Dominican Republic once a month, and has been doing it for years, and you got a family member, a brother or something who lives there. It's like, you should know that the country is not third world. It used to be third world once upon a time, but right now it's a developing country. So I call it personally, even though I know that's not a term that you're supposed to use for the Dominican Republic, I personally call it a second world country, not a third world, and it's not a first world. It's a second world, which means it's somewhere in the middle. The technical term would be developing. So it's not developed. The United States is already developed. The Dominican Republic is developing. So it's not third world. A third world would be underdeveloped or non-developed. Dominican Republic is developing, okay? It's not developed, but it's not underdeveloped. It's developing. It's developing, which means it's moving forward. It's in the process and the progress of moving forward. So it sits in the middle. Some aspects of it can definitely seem third world, since the Dominican Republic used to be third world. It used to be third world at one point in time. So that's easy to understand why certain people might still consider it third world, even though technically it's not. It used to be. So people got to catch up with the times, pay attention, okay? Because it's kind of disrespectful for you to call the country third world as if those people are not developing and improving on themselves, okay? They're in the progress of improving. They're building. I see them building, you know what I'm saying? So they're building. That's respectable. They're not just sitting around not getting anything done with their country. They're doing something with their nation. So let's honor that, and let's represent these people correctly, because it's actually disrespectful for you to come out here and call them third world when they're not. Well, with that being said, let's continue talking about these women, okay? I said what I said, and that's just the honest truth. And the reason why that is because you're a tourist, you're American, and you're not from there. And they also realize that the American dollar goes a little bit further. Our money's worth a little bit more, not too much more, but it is worth slightly more. They understand that. We should understand that. It's just basic economics and geography and social studies. It is what it is. I don't get mad at that, because at the end of the day, let's be honest, it's not like these women here in the States are any too much different. But it's worse because they're more spoiled. They're more entitled on average, not every single one individually. I understand we got individuals out here and everybody's different. I'm just talking in a general sense. Okay, so if the shoe fits, you wear it. If it don't fit, then you don't wear it. It's as simple as that. Okay, but I made my point. I said what I said, and it is what it is. Okay, now what you do with that is what you do with it. I can understand why some dudes might just go ahead and spend that dollar. I'm kind of feeling the same way right now, because I'm 30 years old. I'm tired, okay? I'm just being real, and I just want to just focus on my goals, okay? I just want to build. I don't feel like any woman is truly trying to build with a man out here. That's just my personal opinion. If the shoe don't fit, you don't wear it, but I'm just going to call it how I see it. That's just how I feel. I don't know that to be a literal fact, but that's how I'm feeling. I'm going to just say it like that. So I'm not saying that's a fact that there's no woman out here that would be willing to build with me. But as of right now, I just don't see it. So I'm just going to continue building, and because that's the only thing I can do. I just got to keep on focusing on moving forward. I can't sit around and wait on a woman to come do it with me. Like, just go ahead and just do it. You know what I'm saying? Do it, and whatever comes with it, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So what you do with that is what you do with it. You can learn the culture, learn the language. That might take you a little bit longer, and then you might not be treated as just a pure walking, talking ATM machine by all these women. You might be able to actually like get a more genuine relationship type of situation, but you got to learn the culture for that. Okay, we got to learn the language, and that takes more time, and that path might be harder, and some dudes might just not feel like doing that. Now, me personally, I still want to learn the culture as much as possible, learn the language as much as possible, but that's just me. That's just because I like to learn. I like to learn new things, and I feel like more opportunities will open up in general for business, for networking, not just women. You understand? I'm thinking about money. I'm thinking about business moves, okay? The women is always going to be the bonus. That's cool, too. Okay, cool. But I can understand why some dudes might be like, I don't really care. I'll spend the money. I'll trick off on the women because they're not looking for that much money. Our money is worth more. It goes farther. We'll spend that little dollar and get it out the way. And we don't really care if it's a genuine interaction or not because dudes just don't care. And I'm really starting not to care either. I'm going to just be real. But that's just what it is. But I'm just going to be 100% blunt, honest. Like, I'm not one of these passport bros that's gonna sugarcoat it. I'm saying I'm not a passport bro at all. I'm just a nomad. I'm a traveler. I'm a social studies nerd, and that's what I am, you know. But I'm not one of these passport bros at all that's gonna sugarcoat it. I'm just gonna be honest. With some of the women that I actually got in contact with in the Dominican Republic, I got their contact info. I'm still in touch with them, still talking to them, and you know, we can make something happen for when I go out there for the next trip, which is going to be very soon. I don't know exactly when, but I'm planning it. I'm planning everything out now. You know what I'm saying? Some of these women, they got their own businesses. They already got their own motion. Now, if I see a girl with her own business, especially like they got one girl I'm talking to, she got her own little food business. The food look hella good. I'm mad that I couldn't get some on my trip, but I can do it for the next trip. For the next trip, we can make that happen. For the next trip, we're going to make all of that stuff happen. Look, that's a business opportunity. I see all type of business avenues with that right there with me talking to a girl that got her own food business. I see major opportunity with that in so many different ways. Oh, my goodness. But I'm not going to put all my secrets out there because I don't want nobody copying off of me. Right? But I am still putting y'all on game, giving y'all free game. But I ain't giving away all my game. I ain't giving away all my game and all my ideas. Maybe one day, maybe I'll start a Patreon. You're going to have to pay for that. You want all my game? You have to pay for it. I'll come out with an ebook or something. You got to pay for that. You want the game professional, detail for detail? You got to pay for that. That's going to cost you. Because I see a lot of dudes that ain't got the game like how I got the game. I'm just going to be real. Right? I see girls with their own businesses. I'm talking to one girl. She the president of some type of organization that helps kids and helps children. She just had a fundraiser. I was going to go to it, but I couldn't make it. So I texted her. I just texted her recently. I asked her how'd the fundraiser go. She sent me some pictures, sent me some videos where they was helping kids, and all the kids had their little goodie bags or whatever. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, they look like they could use some more support. That's the type of stuff I like to do, man. Like if I'm talking to a woman, I'm asking her, like, would you like to go on a date? What you like to do for fun and stuff like that? And she responds and tells me that she don't want to do none of that. She's busy being the president of this organization that helps children in the community and helps, you know what I'm saying, children at need and shit like that. Excuse my language. Okay, cool. Now I'm intrigued. Well, tell me more about it. You know what I'm saying? She's telling me more about it. She's showing me stuff. She's sending me stuff. So if I were to give her some money, it's for the fundraiser. It's for the kids. She might ask me for a fundraiser to help build her organization that helps children. Oh, all right. So you can find stuff like that in the DR. Now, I'm not really, I mean, you could probably find that in the States too, but it's like you go on Tinder in the States, you're not really just like, you're not finding women like that on dating apps here in the States. Let's be real. That's not happening. But that can very well happen when you start talking to girls in the Dominican Republic. That's possible. You can find women like that, and they might just want you to come support their business or their organization. Okay, cool, I'll do that. You got a legitimate business. I'm not just paying for OnlyFans. You got a food business where the food look very, very good. Looks very, very similar to Louisiana Creole food. Very similar. And we're going to talk about those things in some later content. That's not for this video, but we're going to, well, we already talked a little bit about that already. You know what I'm saying? We talked about that a little bit already, how certain culture in the Dominican Republic is very similar to culture in Louisiana. We already talked about that a little bit in this video, and we're going to talk about that way more in some later videos, but that's not for this. So if we're just being totally honest and totally blunt here and just going straight to the point of what a lot of these dudes don't want to just admit to themselves, they're being given an illusion that the Dominican Republic and the dating scene in the Dominican Republic is vastly better than that of the United States of America. And they've been given an illusion, and the illusion is coming from this. It's coming from the aspect of speed, timing, and quantity. Okay? You're going to have a bigger quantity of attractive women that are going to be willing to date you, meet up with you, right? You can get motion quicker. You can get things popping off with women quicker, and you can have a bigger quantity of attractive women compared to what you would get in the United States. That is true. But there's a difference between quantity, speed, and quality. Okay? Now, can you get some decent quality women in the DR? I think from what I've observed, yes, you can. But you can do the same thing in the United States. Now, it might be harder for you to find. It just really just depends on where you are in the U.S. The U.S. is big, DR is smaller. It really just all depends, man. It really just depends on where you are, who you are, timing, location. It really just depends, man. It all depends. But being a foreigner going being from the United States and going to the DR, typically you're going to have a larger quantity of women at your disposal quickly. So it's quickness, the quickness, and the quantity. But quickness and quantity does not equal quality. It can, but not always. So that's the point. It's not that the DR dating scene is better, but there's just one aspect that gives people the illusion that it's just better, when really it's just one aspect of it that you're not getting here in the States. So dudes figure, oh, well, it's better. Now, it depends on what your goals are. It depends on, so it being better is purely subjective. What I just told you is a fact. You're going to have a larger quantity of women quickly in the DR being a foreigner from the States. That's just a fact. That's true. That's not even opinionated or subjective. Now, the DR being better, that's subjective. It depends on the individual's goals. For me, I'm getting older. I'm 30 years old now. Let's be real. I got one more decade until I'm middle-aged. One more. I consider middle-aged when you hit about 40, 45. So if we're going off that, I've got about 10 to 15 years. That's going to fly by. And then I'll be middle-aged. I'm getting tired, okay? I'm not in a relationship yet. I have no kids. I'm a bachelor. At some point in time, man, a man's just going to get tired, man. Like, I don't feel like trying to look for a wife, or I don't care, because, like, that's not going to make me or break me. That's not going to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. Like, what do I need a wife for? I can cook, I can clean. I know how to do those things for myself. I don't need children. What do I need children for? I mean, think about it. I mean, some people's perspective on that might be different, but from my point of view, that's cool and all, but I don't necessarily need those things. So it's like, now, do I need women in my life? I would say, yeah, I still need some type of companionship from women. I still need some type of company. I still need a woman's company from time to time. That's something that's probably, you know what I'm saying, I would say you still need as a man. So I can still get that. It's just how I go about getting it. I'm not looking for some quality marriage or relationship. Like, I don't really care. Like, at some point in time, man, as I get older, like, I'm really just starting to care less and less. And I'm just being purely honest here. So at some point in time, it's like, it's going to get to the point to where it's like, who cares how I go about doing it? You know what I'm saying? I'm not breaking the law. I'm not hurting anybody. So forget it. You know what I'm saying? Just do it how I do it. So it's all on you as a man. It just depends on what your goals are, what you want to do, and, you know, what your preferences are. And that's all it is. But that's just the blunt, honest truth. So the blunt, honest truth is that majority of your dating life in the DR will be purely transactional. Nothing genuine going on there. Now, it's not impossible to find something that's a little bit more genuine and not as transactional. But then again, it's not too much different than being here in the States. So when you look at it like that, it's like at least these women are just being more upfront, more direct, and being more honest, besides just trying to beat around the bush and trying to, at least they're just being straightforward and honest with you. Hey, look, I'll go on a date with you. I'll do this with you. I'll chill with you for the day, but you got to give me some money. This is how much I want. I can respect that a whole lot more than these women in the States trying to beat around the bush and trying to like be more. I'm saying, it's like, just be honest and direct with me. I can respect that way more. And it's like, that's going to be majority of what you're going to deal with, being a foreigner who doesn't understand English, going to the DR. That's what you're going to deal with. You go on a dating app and you try to talk to that. That's what it's going to be. Okay. That's what it's going to be. For the most part, that's what it's going to be, period. Whether you meet girls in real timing, or that's what it's going to be in the DR. A lot of what you're going to find is going to be that. It's going to be purely a transactional relationship. But it depends on your goals, depends on what you want to do. And like I said, for me personally, I'm starting to care less and less because I'm getting older, still not in a relationship. I'm building on my own right now. I don't got nobody helping me. I don't got nobody building with me. Shout out to the ones that found them a girl that was actually willing to sit there and grind it out with y'all and build something with y'all. Good for y'all. Round of applause. Most of us ain't that fortunate. Okay, so I'm 30 now. I'm in the process of building myself up. It is what it is. It's going to get to a point to where it's like I done built all of this up and I'm going to go get a wife. It's like something about that just doesn't sit right with me. I'm just being honest. So that's just the point that I'm getting to. I mean, I'm still young. I'm only 30. I still got the rest of my 30s to, see what happens. But, time is clocking down, man. Time is ticking, man. That's all I got to say. And for those of y'all that have been watching my platform, you already know I'm not a big fan of that term. But apparently some people like to still use that term. So if you want to use it, mulatto, which technically I am a mulatto, even though I don't use that term to describe myself. Some people would. You got terms such as mulatto, or you have more specific terms to describe not only a person who's mixed race, but also to describe the person's phenotype, which most mulatto people would be described as high yellow in phenotype, even though I'm aware that not all mulatto people possess the same exact phenotype. But I would say stereotypically we have a high yellow phenotype, right? Now, not all Dominicans are high yellow or light skin or even mixed race. Some Dominicans are actually more monoracial more than anything. They might have like a little admixture, but it's so small to where like you got Dominicans where you could pretty much just say they're black because there literally is, or there are black Dominicans. They might have an admixture to them, but for the most part, they might be anywhere from 80 to 95% African, which is basically a black person with an admixture. And they do exist. There's plenty of them over there on the island. So the stereotype of the Dominican Republic just being just all mixed race people, that's not totally true. I went there. I actually probably saw more darker skinned black people than I seen mixed people, but it's almost equal from what I saw. I pretty much seen about an equal amount of darker skinned black people and lighter skinned mixed race looking people. I've seen almost about a fairly equal amount of both. But it's just nice to be in a country where I'm more represented, where I blend in. The people literally thought I was Dominican, and this is nothing new to me because I lived around Dominicans on the Northeast coast. Being from Louisiana, when I first moved to the Northeast coast, I moved to New England. And when you go to New England or when you go to New York City and stuff like that, there's a lot of Dominicans, a lot of Puerto Ricans, right? Cape Verdeans, right? And a lot of these people are stereotypically mixed race. So a lot of them would just assume that I was Puerto Rican, or they would assume that I was Dominican a lot of times, right? So I was already aware that once I actually went to the islands, it was going to be pretty much a similar type of reaction, a similar type of response. I was pretty much just going to blend in with the people. And sometimes on occasion, some people could probably kind of tell that I'm American, but a lot of times they couldn't really tell unless I started to talk. And even when I started talking, sometimes they would still assume that I'm Dominican. Like, you know what I'm saying? They might have just thought, so maybe some of them thought, maybe he's just an Americanized Dominican. Maybe he's a Dominican from the United States. But, I like it. I like the fact that I was embraced. I'm embraced by the people there. They embraced me as one of them. And I mean, technically speaking, I am one of them. We're both mulatto. We both have similar ancestry. Our ancestors came from the same place. We just come from a different culture. We come from a different direct ethnic background. That's all. But I just like the fact that I was able to blend in. I have more representation in that country compared to the United States. The United States, I'm almost invisible. As a mixed race person in the United States, I'm almost invisible. All right. Not literally invisible, but if you understand what I mean. It's just the simple fact that in places like the Dominican Republic, I have more representation. My image is more represented, right? Being over there, it's just nice to see. You got people that look just like me, having families with each other, building with each other, building entire communities with each other. And those are the types of things I saw while I was out there. Okay. Like I said, it's a mix. It's a mix when you go to the Dominican Republic. It's a mix. Not everybody looks exactly the same. The phenotypes can vary. Mixtures can vary. Some people might have more African ancestry. Some people might have more European. Some people have more Taino native ancestry. Right? So not everybody just looks exactly like me. But there is a large population of people in the country that look just like me. So I'm still able to blend in. Right? My image is much more represented in that country than it is over here in this country. And I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, I like being embraced by the people there. And that was a big component to why I was interested in traveling to the Dominican Republic, because I'm aware that it is a mixed race country. The country was built on the mixing of races and cultures, which is something that I already deeply and greatly relate to. So I had to go there. And they're not the only country that is similar to this. It has this same aspect. There's other countries out there with this same similar aspect, and I'm also interested in going there. Puerto Rico is one. There's some other ones. Cape Verde, that's another one. You got a few of them out there. You know what I'm saying? You got a few of them. But this was definitely a big key component as well as to why I was interested in the Dominican Republic. And I think all people of direct African descent, whether we be mixed race or if you're fully black, I think we all should be interested in connecting to our roots in Africa and in Latin America. Like, I think it's important for us to be in nations where the people look like us. I think that's important. In the United States, this is the white man's country. Let's be real. This is the white man's nation. When you look at the dollar bills, you see all white men. This is the white man's country. The United States belongs to the white man. Let's just be honest here. Let's just be real. We don't control anything in this country. And I understand that I'm not a Dominican. So I understand that they're not, technically speaking, they're not going to fully embrace me 100% as one of them. But I literally can blend in. I can blend into the country. They will embrace me. Okay? They will embrace you to a degree. Not fully, not 100%. They'll still recognize you as an outsider, technically speaking. You're not a part of their culture. But they literally will embrace you to a degree. As a mixed race person, or even as a fully black person, we have way more representation in these types of countries. And that's the point that I'm trying to make. And I just think it's important for us to be in places like that, at least travel to those places. You ain't got to move, but at least go there. You know what I'm saying? Connect with countries where the people look like you. But, I know everybody's not going to have my same mindset. So, to each his own, but that's my perspective. And it's not about being racist, because nothing I'm saying is racist. It's just me wanting to be around people that look like me more often. That's all. I could literally go days and days and days and days and weeks without even seeing a single face that looks like my face. Or seeing a person with a phenotype similar as mine. And I do see them out here in Louisiana, but I see them way more in the Dominican Republic. Way more. Every single time I walked out the door in the DR, I see plenty of people that look like me. Plenty. I don't see plenty out here in Louisiana. They out here, of course, I see them. But I don't see I don't see them in a plentiful state. I don't see that. Not here. But in the DR,